Hey there. I don't know if you've said these words out loud lately, or if they've only existed quietly inside your head. But if you've been thinking, I don't know what I want anymore, I just want to sit with that for a while. Because I think people underestimate how unsettling that feeling can be. Not knowing what you want, not knowing what direction feels right, not feeling excited by the things that used to motivate you, not being certain about the future in the way you once hoped you would be. It's strange, because from the outside, life keeps moving. People ask questions. What are your plans? What do you want? Where do you see yourself? And sometimes you wish you had an answer ready, something clear, something confident. But instead, you find yourself quietly thinking, I honestly don't know. And maybe that uncertainty has been scaring you. Maybe you've been interpreting it as a sign that something is wrong, that you've become lost, that you've somehow fallen behind. But I wonder if that's always true, because sometimes not knowing what you want doesn't mean you failed. Sometimes it means you've outgrown things. Sometimes it means life changed you. Sometimes it means you've spent so much energy surviving, adapting, or simply getting through difficult seasons that you haven't had much room to ask yourself what you genuinely desire anymore. And perhaps that's what makes this feeling so lonely. Not because you've stopped caring, but because you're tired of pretending to have clarity you don't actually feel. You want certainty. You want something to click. You want to wake up one morning and suddenly know exactly what you're meant to do, who you're meant to become, and where you're meant to go. But life doesn't always reveal itself that way. And honestly, I think we put so much pressure on ourselves to know our purpose, to know the right path, to know what we want, as though uncertainty is something to be ashamed of. But maybe uncertainty is not always a sign that you're lost. Maybe sometimes it's a sign that you're changing. And change has a way of making old answers stop fitting before new answers have fully arrived, which can leave you standing in this strange in-between space, no longer connected to who you used to be, not yet fully certain about who you're becoming. And that middle space can feel uncomfortable.
It can make you impatient with yourself. It can make you compare yourself to people who seem more certain. It can make you question whether you've wasted time. But I don't think life unfolds as neatly as we imagine. I think there are seasons where we build, and seasons where we rest, seasons where we feel clear, and seasons where we're simply listening more carefully, trying to understand ourselves again. And maybe that's where you are. Not failing, not broken, not falling behind, just listening. Even if the answers haven't fully formed yet. Because sometimes before we discover what we want, we first have to acknowledge what no longer feels true. And that takes time. It takes honesty. It takes patience, and maybe more gentleness than we've been giving ourselves. You don't have to force certainty tonight. You don't have to pressure yourself into having a perfectly mapped out future. You don't have to pretend to know things you're still learning. And you certainly don't have to rush yourself into becoming someone just because everyone else seems to know where they're going. The truth is, many people are quietly asking the same questions. They're just better at hiding them. And maybe that's something worth remembering. You are not strange for feeling uncertain. You are not disappointing for not having all the answers. And you are not wasting your life because clarity has been slow to arrive. Sometimes understanding yourself again happens gradually. Sometimes what you want returns softly. And sometimes entirely new desires emerge from places you never expected. But none of that needs to happen tonight. Tonight, maybe it's enough to simply tell the truth, to admit that you're unsure, to admit that you're tired of pretending, and to trust that not having all the answers does not mean there are no answers. It may simply mean you're still becoming acquainted with the person you are now, and that deserves patience, not pressure. So if these days have felt confusing, if you've been carrying the quiet fear that everyone else has figured something out that you somehow missed, I hope you can loosen that burden for a while. You don't need to arrive anywhere tonight. You don't need to decide your whole future before you sleep. You can simply be here with your questions, with your uncertainty, with all the unfinished parts of your story. And you don't have to face them alone. I'm here with you, and for now, that's enough.